Here we are with MainStCEO, and we want to welcome everybody back. We want to welcome all the people that commented on our last series. We have some great stuff. We're going to see more about that on our next issue, but today we're here with three pretty heavy hitters in the financial services business. This is Irv Rosenzweig, president of RZ Wealth, Marc Chaikin, who's founder and CEO of Chaikin Investments, and Ron Carson, who is CEO and founder of the Carson Group. All of us have been in business for quite a while. What's different from when you started?
Well, I'll start by telling you what hasn't changed. It's still a people business. Yeah. You've got to build relationships, find out what people need, and cater to those needs. But what has changed is technology. Technology, obviously, is in everybody's lives now, but it's freed us up to really do what we need to do in our business, which is to service our clients and grow our client list, because technology is an enabling force right now.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I mean, this is my 35th year in this great profession. Grew up on a farm in Nebraska, and it used to be if you sat down and had a cup of coffee, that was enough. Like you were saying, it's all about the relationship. Today, the relationship is really just table stakes. Today, with all the information that's out there, that you better be able to demonstrate, I don't care what business you're in today, value beyond a doubt, because if you're not delivering that, people aren't going to pay something for nothing. And it's just the society we're in.
And from my perspective, as far as what's different, really the product offerings more than anything. I mean, the capabilities that we have to offer clients right now, I mean, it's huge. There are products now that were only available to institutional type investors that you now can bring down to the street level. And with that, the technology and all these other elements that we've spoken about are key, because you need to be informed and you need to be able to give valuable and informed advice.
How much do you do still a lot of the things you used to do, and how much of it is spent running your companies versus having steak dinners and having, off camera you talked about having your customer, and do you still have customers?
I have a handful, because I think it's important for CEOs. So often I think companies start becoming, as Jeff Bezos of Amazon refers to as day two companies. They lose sight of where, how they started, why they started. They didn't have the innovation as they become comfortable with their success. And so I want to stay a day one company. I started off as one person in my organization. Today we have 128 stakeholders around the country. And I want to wake up, and every one of them I want to wake up and be excited about it being a day one company. But for me, my value add is leadership and growth and vision. How do I better serve the marketplace? How do I drive value for the consumer? And how do I do it in such a way that I have the responsibility of keeping my business in business for the benefit of everybody that we serve?
Yeah, I'm sort of a big advocate of Steve Jobs in terms of he having been a product advocate, product champion with Apple all through his career. So what I do in terms of keeping my hands on the pie is be very forward about being the product champion, whether it's an analytics product, whether it's a new subscription product or an investable product. I want my employees to sort of channel me to our clients. So I'm very, very prominent in terms of remaining the product champion, even though I'm the CEO. I delegate some of the day-to-day to my COO, but I think anybody who's building a business has to be a product champion, and you have to be out there selling. As someone once said, if you're an entrepreneur and you're not out there selling, then you're not doing a good job at being an entrepreneur.
Honestly, it's a challenging business, and with the things that we've seen relative to the DOL and different legislature and different compliance issues. For a while, I was being pulled away from the client, and then also looking to give opportunity to those that I was mentoring. So that's why I'm really excited about the relationship with the Carson Group, that I can put a lot of the stuff that was taking me away from the client to them, and allow myself to get back to the client situation. Because frankly, I was missing that. I felt like the Maytag repairman. I'm from the computer, I'm dealing with the SEC attorney, doing whatever. Not that there were any issues, but we like to be ahead of the curve. We like to, not have any issues ever. So now with this situation that I'm in now, it brings me back to the client, and I'm good at it. I like it. I enjoy people. So it's getting me to a place that for a long time I was feeling frustrated that I was not there.
Yeah. So you all talked about that challenge of staying connected. What do you see the challenges being? What do you see your challenges and opportunities? What's that thing that that keeps you up, that you say, well, this is what I've got to stay in front of?
Well, I think it's the technology. We're at a flashpoint right now. I want to make sure I'm properly positioned to be a fast follower for the benefit of my clients and partners like Irv, that we're ready to be fast adopters so we can deliver the most competitive, cutting-edge experience possible and be able to demonstrate value. Because if you're falling behind, our profession was like a soap opera. Of that 35 years, about 25, maybe 30 of it. Now, if you fall behind, it's really hard to catch up.
And I think, building on something Ron said, the biggest problem we all face is information overload. So that's the other side of the technology revolution. With technology comes access to extraordinary amounts of information. And part of what we've done in our business is to say, well, how can we help solve the information overload problem? So for us, the challenge is staying on top of that and delivering. So we created a workstation for advisors, and we thought we had done a great job of solving the information overload problem, but then we started loading it with more features thanks to people like Irv, who said, well, I could use this and I could use that. And suddenly I looked at the problem and I said, wait a minute, we're going back on our promise to cut through the clutter and solve the information overload problem. So you constantly have to be aware of whether you're adding value or actually subtracting from your value proposition to the client.
Getting the client or the prospect to differentiate. You know, they're seeing, again, a ton of stuff out there, or a ton of advisors out there, and how are they making an educated decision about who's really best suited to suit their interests, to help them. And it's confusing, I think, to the public. So, I mean, a lot of people say the right words, that you're putting the client interest first and whatever. I believe it, Ron believes it, but other people say it. Do they genuinely believe it, and are they delivering that true value proposition to the client? And does the client know enough to know whether or not they're getting, full service from that advisor?
People are really confused today, about, how am I getting the most out of everything? And as a human being, you sit there and say, okay, I need to have a trusted group of professionals where the relationship comes in. Then I really want to be able to see value beyond a doubt. And if I can't measure it, I'm probably not getting it, and I'm going to move on. That's one of the major changes from when I first started in this profession to today. And I'm that way as a consumer. It's like the relationship is table stakes. It's important, but I'm not going to, at the expense of the relationship, not continue to use whatever that service is if it's not providing true value to me and my family.
I think marketing is the real elephant in the room right now. Marketing has become so critical to the success of all of our businesses. And of course, in the marketing business, there's a mantra: if you can't measure it, you can't market it. So again, here's where technology and metrics sort of merge. Marketing has become much more sophisticated. Digital marketing, SEO, have replaced conventional direct mail marketing. And I think we all are in a business of customer acquisition and customer retention, and the two sometimes collide, but marketing is really at the center of all that.
So to that point, what's the best yield you get? Maybe not marketing, but when you are investing in your business, what's making the best net yield for you?
From my point of view, it's marketing, because we've got product, and you can enhance product very easily now because the cost of technology has come way down. But as someone once said, if you've got a great product and mediocre marketing, it probably won't go anywhere. But if you've got a mediocre product and great marketing, you're probably going to succeed. So from my point of view, the best investment we make is in our young marketing people, especially our digital marketing people, because they know where people live and on the internet and on Facebook and social, and so they can find them, target them, and that's really the key. You've got to target the people that you want for your clients and have the right team to go after them.
And I'll just say, I think it's an misunderstood segment of our population, and that's the millennials. When I look at the Carson Group, and it's people, it's the giving millennials an opportunity to come in. They're super creative. They do things a lot different than all four of us do them, but doggone it, they get results. They understand the shift that's taking place beneath the surface right now. They're loyal. They'll stay at one place for a long time, but you better be transparent. You need to offer an environment they want to be in and give them economic mobility as to how they can not only do well, but do well for our society, because that's really important to them. And that's the biggest, I think, asset that I stumbled onto and have really leveraged within my organization.
as far as the best investment, I think we're back to that a little bit. I think we're hearing the two things that are key to us, so people and technology. And maybe people that know how to use the technology are even that much more relevant, bringing them
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
So that's definitely key. I mean, technology is a time saver for us, and the efficiencies that they build in and things like that. And it's nice to see somebody who actually embraces something, gets behind it, gets excited about it. And between the technology and being mentored, if they're being mentored properly, it's a great thing to see within our firm as well.
So Ron, do you change your message in the markets you're in? So is there a different message in Philly than there would be in Atlanta or Miami? Or?
Absolutely not. One of the things that I find true is, I mean, the people, the way they interact with you are totally different in New York than Nebraska. Promise you. Okay. But at the end of the day, people want the same things. We're human beings. Yeah, we really do want the same thing. So the messaging really works.
I think the only place you have to change your message is not geographic, it's demographic. So Ron's talking about millennials. Obviously, the message to millennials has to be different than the message to someone who's retired or the people who fall in between. So I think it's really a demographic message that changes, not a geographic. Now, that all changes if you go to Europe, for instance. In Europe, where they're completely risk averse and buying bonds where they're actually paying their government's interest to take their money, risk is paramount. It's the first thing that people care about. It's the first thing to talk about. But here in the States, people have one real goal. They want to make sure their retirement's taken care of, whether they're millennials or whether they're approaching retirement. It's a common problem, as Ron said, and you've got to address that problem in a credible way.
Is your messaging the same still to your clients now and to different age groups? Or?
I think that, Marc hit it on the head. I mean, demographics are key. They have a different understanding of things, and they associate things a little bit differently. I mean, everything, they're tech savvy. They want things delivered in a different way. They don't want paper, just many things related to that. So, and again, with the technology in hand, it's easy to adjust to that. I would say that there's certain geographical things that may be relevant. In this particular area, we're right by Vanguard, and a lot of people have family that works with Vanguard. It surprised me a few years ago, though, is how advisor-centric Vanguard has become, in the sense that they understand and value the role of the financial advisor. Because a lot of people can buy Vanguard, but if you look at studies, or if you looked at studies with Fidelity Fund, Peter Lynch, and people who own the Magellan Fund, the majority of those people may have lost money because they don't know when to get in, when to get out, how to relax during times of stress, and they do need some professional help in that regard to have better results than they would potentially on their own.
So let's bring it back to our audience, my CEO audience. These are small business owners. You know what I hear? These are guys running businesses, $1 million, $2 million. And what comes up all the time in our discussions, what do you think they should know about, what should they be doing about their business that they might not be doing?
Well, go to the end and work backwards. I mean,
okay.
A lot of times people get so caught up with the here and now, and it feels overwhelming. It's like, take a deep breath and say, I want to live my life by design, not by default. Same with your business. And your business, to me, is a tool to help you get what you want out of your life. Your business shouldn't be your life, right? That's just a philosophical difference. I think if you put it in perspective and say, okay, with that, the context of that, what do I want to build? And what's my business look like today? What will it look like in the future? What do I need to do to get what bits of really, because if you do some research, you can start to eliminate fake news and what's real news and what's real information. And then also, there's a guy from Omaha, who's one of my clients. He started his company before he was 55 from scratch, and he's now a billionaire. And I said, what was the secret to your success? He said, I surrounded myself by the brightest people I could find. I got the hell out of their way. And he said, and I learned to delegate and release, meaning not micromanage. I think we all suffer from that. We have our hand too much into it. Going back to millennials, give them real authority to make real decisions. And maybe it's not the way you would have done it, but if they're getting it done, let it, as Larry the Cable Guy says, get her done. Let them get her done.
Yeah, I think my favorite mantra in this area is fail fast and fail forward. So you've got to try things, as Ron said. and empower the people that you have. But again, you've got to give them the vision and the value proposition. So I think the most important thing someone who's starting a business can do is to develop his value proposition. You know, who are we as a company? Who are we serving? With the idea that the client is at the core of your business. Sometimes our people get upset with a client who's a little bit difficult, or the steps that are needed to bring in new clients. And I say, without clients, we don't have a business. So in addition to having those long-range goals, where do I want to be in 10 years in my business and my life? You've got to be client-focused, and therefore you've got to imbue within the organization the notion that the client comes first. And it has to do with your marketing message and so forth, and I'm sure Ron has lived that and breathed that because he's built a very successful business.
I love your fail fast because I believe in that. I never viewed failure as failure, but a more intelligent way to approach something. And I've often told people, you want to double your success rate, double your failure rate. And I love Colin's book, shoot bullets first, test things, and then fire a cannonball, right? So if failure was something small, testing things, getting feedback from it, and then by the time you're ready, you really find something that works. In business, don't be afraid to shoot that cannonball and go all in on an idea.
If you're not trying to surround yourself with people like these, and you're not trying to be like a sponge in these groups, whether it be here or whether it be conferences like ETF.com, and you're meeting analysts and you're meeting portfolio managers, and you're sharpening your tool, you're honing your craft every day that you're doing this, you're not delivering the goods to your client. And I think that's key.
And I would ask all business owners to look at it and say, my people, my thinking, my processes, my technology, everything, is it anchors or engines? Because a lot of times we defend what we know, what we're comfortable with, versus embracing the unknown. So anchored thinking, we live in the past. Engine thinking is, what is it that's going to be beneficial and be positive momentum for the future? And if people do an honest evaluation of themselves, the people they surround themselves with, the environment they're in, they're going to find that they got both anchors and engines. So my challenge for them is to get rid of the anchors and replace them with engines for growth.
In a business, it's very easy to put your feet in cement and say, we've got the answers, we've got the products, we've got the right customer acquisition methodology, but you've got to be prepared to pivot, and you've got to pivot based on where you see things going, and that's just another way of Ron's anchor engine analogy. You've really got to look toward the future and see where things are going. Otherwise, you get your feet in cement, and your business is vulnerable because the first new innovator who comes along can really put you out of business.
This has been a great conversation. You're going to be able to read more and hear more. Go to MainStCEO.com and learn more about Irv, Marc, and Ron, and hold on for a second. We'll be back with another session in a minute.